Well, Europe has exploded over Israel's war on Gaza. Italy is witnessing unprecedented protest. The continent has reached a boiling point, and it's not only Italy. In France too, people's anger over IDF's action is very much visible. You know why it is worth your attention? Because this eruption is not only about the Gaza war, but how Israel now might face the most severe diplomatic isolation in its history.
To the great people of Britain, the millions who have been marching in the streets.
Italy witnessed extraordinary scenes of civil unrest as over 1 lakh protesters flooded the streets in what organizers dubbed Block Everything, a nationwide strike that paralyzed the entire country over Gaza war and Israel's military action. The scale of Italian fury was unprecedented, with demonstrations erupting simultaneously in over 80 cities including Rome, Milan, Florence, Naples and other major cities. In Milan, Italy's financial capital, protesters smashed windows at the central train station and hurled stones, smoke bombs and metal objects at riot police, who responded with tear gas and pepper sprays. The violent clashes left over 60 police officials injured and resulted in at least 10 arrests. The Italian protests weren't merely symbolic gesture. They constituted a direct economic assault on Israel's war machine. Ports were blocked by dock workers, preventing the transit of arms and supplies to Israel. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni is facing mounting domestic pressure, though she condemned the violence but remained defiant in her refusal to recognize Palestinian statehood, unlike her European counterparts. Her government position has become increasingly untenable as 64% of Italians consider the Gaza situation very serious, with 41% supporting Palestinian state recognition. Perhaps even more dramatic was the open rebellion which was witnessed across France, where over 80 town halls hoisted Palestinian flags in direct defiance of government's orders. In fact, the French rebellion reached extraordinary heights when left-wing councillors raised the Palestinian flag at Paris City Hall for over 30 minutes, and this comes despite socialist mayor's opposition. Well, the rebellion culminated when Palestinian flags were projected onto the Eiffel Tower along Israel flag and peace symbols, as France prepared for Macron's historic announcement. Well, then came the announcement. President Emmanuel Macron's announcement at the UN General Assembly that France formally recognizes Palestinian statehood sent shockwaves through the international system, and especially when it comes to the European subcontinent. Let's be very clear, this wasn't an isolated decision. It followed coordinated recognition by the UK, Canada, Australia and Portugal, with Belgium, Luxembourg, Malta, Andorra and San Marino joining the cascade. Meanwhile, all this happened, Spain has already mounted pressure on Israel by banning Israel-bound ships and aircrafts carrying weapons entering Spanish airspace or ports. Well, the timing was also deliberate and devastating for Israel. France and UK, both permanent UN Security Council members, now officially recognize Palestine, meaning 4 of the 5 permanent Security Council members support Palestinian statehood. This represents a catastrophic diplomatic defeat for Israel and the United States too. Macron framed recognition as a defeat for Hamas and the only solution that will allow Israel to live in peace, directly challenging Netanyahu's narrative that recognition rewards terrorism. Well, European anger has reached fever pitch precisely as Israel launched its most ambitious military operation since the war began, Gideon's Chariot 2, aimed at completely occupying the Gaza city. In fact, the September 15th ground offensive has seen systematic destruction of residential areas, with Israeli forces flattening over 50 high-rise buildings in just the opening day. The strategic implications are also profound. Israel now might face a severe diplomatic isolation in its history, with major allies openly defying its core position on Palestinian statehood. Well, the European rebellion over Gaza has transformed from street protests into state policy, marking a historic realignment that could define Middle Eastern geopolitics for decades to come.